Chapter 3 considers the topics of exposure, attention, and perception. It notes that in order for a marketing stimulus to have an impact, consumers must be exposed to it, allocate some attention to it, and perceive it. Perception and attention are mutually reinforcing processes. A basic level of attention is needed to perceive a stimulus. Once perceived, further attention-based resources can be used to process stimuli at higher levels of processing. The learning objectives for this chapter are: discuss why marketers are concerned about consumers' exposure to marketing stimuli and what tactics that they use to enhance exposure. Explain the characteristics of attention and how marketers can try to attract and sustain consumers' attention to products and marketing messages. Describe the major senses that are part of perception and outline why marketers are concerned about consumers' sensory perceptions. Discuss the process of comprehension and outline how marketing mix elements can affect consumer inferences about products and brands. Exposure occurs when the consumer is presented with a marketing stimulus. Marketers are now attempting a wide variety of tactics to increase stimulus exposure, particularly since consumers' exposure to marketing stimuli is selective. These efforts are important as consumers now engage in behaviors that interfere with exposure, like zapping, and flipping. Among the efforts that marketers are using is road blocking, placing the same ads on multiple channels simultaneously. Attention occurs when the stimulus makes a conscious impression on the consumer, or the consumer allocates processing capacity to it. The key aspect of attention is that it is selective, divided, and limited. Because it is limited, consumers may be distracted by other stimuli. Moreover, even though it is limited, consumers have some capacity to process information at a pre-attentive level. Given that the marketing environment is so cluttered, it is important for marketers to capture consumers' attention. Making a stimulus self-relevant, pleasant, surprising, or easy to process enhances its attention-getting properties. Alternatively, the problem of habituation suggests that familiar stimuli can lose their attention-getting power. If exposure and attention are sufficient, the stimulus may reach one or more sensory registers and be perceived through one of the 5 senses. Processing of stimuli depends on the sense being used. Visual stimuli are influenced by the important factors of size, color, and brightness and contrast. Hearing is influenced by intensity and music. Taste perceptions are also critical for certain products, yet because tastes may vary across cultures, marketers use taste tests to improve marketing strategy. In addition, the chapter considers how smell and touch may influence the marketing strategy for certain products. Chapter 3 then discusses the concept of sensory thresholds. The absolute threshold is the lowest point at which an individual can experience a sensation, while the differential threshold is the minimum difference that can be detected between 2 stimuli. For marketing stimulus to be perceived, It must be above the absolute threshold. The differential threshold is important when marketers do not want consumers to either notice a difference between two stimuli or want consumers to notice the difference. Perceptual organization occurs when consumers organize a set of stimuli into a coherent perception. Gestalt principles of figure and ground, closure, and grouping facilitate this process of organization. Chapter 4 considers how memory and knowledge influence consumer behavior. This chapter describes memory, knowledge content, and knowledge structure. Memory is discussed as both sensory and working, as well as both short-term and long-term. Memory is explicit or implicit. The role of memory is key to understand along with consumer knowledge. Prior knowledge is essential for two levels of consumer understanding: categorization and comprehension. Categorization is the process of labeling things that consumers perceived and relating them to both other objects in the environment and their past experience. Items that are categorized, such as brands, are linked with other items in schemas and scripts. Schemas and scripts are part of the consumer's knowledge of their world. Understanding how this knowledge is structured can help marketers create new knowledge about existing brands, create new brands, and link either new or existing brands to other knowledge that consumers may have about the world. Knowledge is organized into categories in which objects in the same category are similar to one another and are distinct from items in other categories. Within a category, items are graded so that some are more representative or prototypical of that category than others. In addition, categories may be hierarchically organized so that some items are considered basic as compared to others that are subordinate or superordinate. Understanding the structure of knowledge helps marketers to position, develop, and design all elements of the marketing mix. Chapter 4 then discusses what memory retrieval is and how it works. The last part of Chapter 4 discusses how marketers try to affect memory retrieval.